For more, welcoming in CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Reiter and former NBA champion and coach of the year Avery Johnson. Fellas, the Knicks led the entire game. This is the first wire-to-wire win of the postseason for New York. So, Bill, what was working for the Knicks in this one?
Absolutely everything, and the fact that Pacers, maybe I guess outside of Pascal Siakam, just didn't show up for the game. I mean, look, not surprising that New York had energy and effort. Their defense was absolutely outstanding. They won they won almost every 50-50 ball. They were more physical. They were acting with the desperation that you have to act with when you want to be an NBA champion. Coach knows this better than anybody else at CBS Sports. I'm just shocked the Pacers didn't match that even a little bit. I mean, look, 3-1 series lead is relatively safe historically. Only 12 teams have blown that margin of a lead. But that doesn't mean you just give a game away. I know we're going to do the analysis. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to praise for the New York Knicks. I am shocked by Tyrese Halliburton's performance and frankly, just the lack of energy, effort, and a killer instinct of any kind from the Pacers, and what was an opportunity tonight to go to the NBA Finals.
The Knicks were phenomenal tonight. And I said it earlier on all of our shows across CBS Sports HQ. While everybody thinks the NBA is a fourth quarter league, it's a first quarter league. The Knicks were sensational, especially defensively in the first quarter. They scored 27 points. They won the first quarter compared to the last game when they allowed Indiana to score 43 points. Specifically, Halliburton was sensational in that last game at home. So the first quarter was a big key. Now, the Knicks going to have to do something about Ben Mathurin. Ben Mathurin was a +8 off the bench, 20-plus points. They have to solve for this. But this is the pace, the tempo, and this is the reason why I picked the Knicks to win in 7, because I thought they would be able to duplicate these type of performances throughout this series. So if this type of defense can show up, Josh Hart, who a lot of people were frustrated with during the course of the game, he had a couple of miscues, but guess what? My wife even pointed it out. The famous Miss Cassandra, the tennis player. Josh Hart had a double-double tonight. He had a double-double tonight, and his rebounding was significantly impactful to the Knicks' success. So Josh Hart, tons of credit. Karl Anthony Towns was terrific in the first half, especially before he got into foul trouble. Mitchell Robinson was solid, but the Knicks defensively took the challenge. This is the defensive Knicks team that I was looking for in this series.
Well, and the defense clearly worked, Coach. I mean, this is the first time in this year's playoffs that the Pacers scored fewer than 100 points in a game. Tyrese Halliburton, just 2 of 7 from the field. So, Coach, how were the Knicks able to keep Halliburton and this Pacers offense just so quiet?
Well, and I'll let Bill jump in here in a second. I think they gave him different looks. It wasn't just the easy switches that they allowed in the last game in Indiana. A couple of traps here. They forced him to get off the ball a little bit. He wasn't as aggressive tonight. I think in Coach Rick Carlisle's mind, he probably saw the handwriting on the wall, so he wanted to limit his minutes when he probably thought this game was over much earlier than Indiana Pacers fans. So he said, hey, let's rest Halliburton. This game, we're probably not going to win it. It's going to be an uphill climb. Let's get him ready for Game 6 at home. But Halliburton early on wasn't nearly as aggressive on the offensive end.
Yeah, you're right, Coach. There was just a passiveness to Tyrese Halliburton's game, but and Coach has said this, you have to give the Knicks credit. I mean, Jalen Brunson came out and, if memory serves, scored, I think, the first 6 points, and the Knicks took control of the game and never looked back. One of the things, and Avery hit on this, that I think was a key to this game is Indiana likes to get out and run. They like fast break points. They like to move. They have almost always guys that can hit 3-point shots on the floor. We know Tyrese Halliburton's, I guess, the quote-unquote star of this team, but it's really anybody who can contribute, but especially when they get out in transition. They did not do that. The Knicks did not allow them to do that. Some of that is just how well the Knicks shot in this game. There weren't a lot of rebounds for the Pacers to get and just push. But this was, as Coach said, a game played at the Knicks pace, with the Knicks bending this game to their will, and again, a level of effort and energy from every single New York Knicks. It's kind of what we expected in the regular season, right? You expect the Knicks to dominate defensively. They didn't do that in the regular season. They were inconsistent defensively. They were outstanding in that respect, and as Avery started this conversation off with, and it's true, everything about the Knicks was astounding, and it correlates to the fact that very few things about the Pacers were as impressive as they need to be if you want to win a game to make an NBA Finals.
And two more quick points about this game. Indiana is going to have a hard time if they don't make 12 or more threes. They only made 10 tonight. They got outscored 60-34 in the paint. For the New York Knicks, that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't make shots if you don't take them. And I see, you know, Halliburton with such a low attempt right there, just 2 of 7 from the field. We'll see if that continues as this series goes on. Coach, I know you've picked the Knicks in 7, but for that to happen, first the Knicks have to get Game 6 on the road. Bill, when you look at what happened in tonight's Game 5, what can translate to keep this thing going for New York in Game 6?
I'm laughing because all of us at this stage are just going to give the answers that make our early predictions what we hope to come true. I took the Pacers in this series, and Coach took the Knicks. And look, I'm still up 3-2, and I don't feel good about it. I mean, it's everything we talked about in reverse. The Pacers, Tyrese. So this is the thing that's interesting about Indiana. Someone in these closeout games has to take on the mantle of responsibility, the weight of that moment, and just go and get buckets. And we've seen sometimes when the Pacers' offenses stall a little bit, when they've turned to Siakam. But Halliburton's got to be that guy, too. He's got to hunt his shots. He's got to be able to, I think, take more buckets, especially when the 3 isn't going down. And then it's what Coach said. I mean, you have to get out in transition. And if you're the Pacers, and they're built for this, and I think they'll regress back to the mean a little bit, you've got to take and make a lot more 3-point shots. They usually have 5 guys on the floor that can do that. They weren't effective on this night. For the Knicks to be able to push it to a Game 7, and for Avery to be right in his prediction for us to have a 14th ever 3-1 series collapse and or comeback, depending on your perspective, New York's got to make sure the pace of play is slower like they did. You get performances, star turns from both Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, and you make the Pacers play Knicks basketball, not Pacers basketball.
This was a relatively easy win for the Knicks tonight, and Indiana contributed to that. Indiana had 20 turnovers. So I think the key is in Game 6, look at ball security. Who takes care of the basketball? Who values the basketball? Because when you value the basketball, you get shots at the basket. I know, in hockey right now it's called shots on goal, and, you got Florida and Carolina going at it, and I don't know what's going to happen with the Dallas Stars, but it's shots on goal. Because when you get those shots, even if you miss, you can get an offensive rebound. If you get fouled, you can get your defense set. That keeps teams from having those transition buckets. So Indiana struggled with ball security tonight. If the Knicks didn't have a couple of miscues on offense, they would have won by 30 tonight. So we'll see, that ball security, limiting your turnover, we'll see if that translates, especially in the first of 5-6 minutes of the first quarter. That's going to tell you a lot about who's going to sustain and gain momentum for Game 6.
Well, the Knicks stay alive with a Game 5 win. 111-94 is the final score. Game 6 is Saturday in Indiana. Bill Reiter, Avery Johnson, thanks so much as always for the insight. Well, the Knicks are hoping to add their name to this list. Only 3 teams in NBA history have erased a 3-1 series deficit in the conference finals. The last to do it was the Warriors in 2016. New York still 2 wins away. Game 6 in Indiana set for Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern.